welcome the Manchild Roundtable, where we are not men by society standards. We are not children chronologically, and neither table is round. Deal with it.
In fact, I don't think that there is a table. It's kind of like a lie.
Like the cake?
Yeah, sort of like the cake, but it's more like a prison.
It's only as much of a prison as you think of it is, Jacob. It's your gilded cage. So, has anything happened in Magic the Gathering in the past 2 weeks? Been pretty slow. Not a lot. Yeah.
No, nothing.
Literally.
Nothing has happened at all.
At all. That's not true. A lot of things came to a head over the past, 10 days or so. It's been a Matryoshka doll of bullshit. It all started when Uro was banned. Which was, what,
it was 2 weeks ago at this point.
Jesus. It feels like so much longer than that. Anyways, its standard was and still is a hunka burning dumpster fire. Their answer to fixing standard was banning Uro, and that was unsatisfactory. And now that we've had an Uro-less fortnight or so, I think we can firmly say that it did not solve the problem at all.
There was another little payload nestled inside of this shit burrito that everybody had to eat that would prove to be pretty damaging to the player base's collective psyche. More so than anything I've ever seen or even heard about before in the game's history.
And that was Secret Lair, The Walking Dead.
And it wasn't like this came out of nowhere either. I mean, if you've been paying attention to the news in Magic, or paying attention to the game at all, you knew that this was coming. But I guess we all didn't really know exactly what it was going to be, or how they were going to execute it.
Yeah, I mean, it was announced well before this. They said they were doing a Secret Lair Walking Dead, and everyone's reaction was okay. It's not as central in the zeitgeist as it used to be. It's fairly kind of past its shelf date, but I guess people still dig it. I don't know, do whatever you want. Fine. But the day that they banned Uro was also the day that they revealed the cards would be both mechanically unique and black bordered. And the reception was on the negative side, I'd say. Right, so the timing for all of this, there's no way it could have been worse, as people were already mad about standard, and this was just so much gas on that fire big time. It was ugly. And the problem here is that they're unique cards, and you can't get them anywhere else. A lot of people believe that this is how pay to win really starts. This is how they get their foot in the door. They do shit like this, and if it flies, well, I mean, okay, let's just print up some reserve list stuff that people have been clamoring for. Let's reprint Moxes and throw them in a Secret Lair. $500 a piece. Why not? You'll pay for it.
I doubt that. I don't know. Unless, if Hasbro did some kind of risk assessment where they would see if the benefits outweigh the risks, the financial risks. I mean, we're talking about purportedly billions of dollars worth of risk here, plus the physical risk of having a literal horde of smelly man children all armed to the yellowed teeth with piss jugs and poop socks. I just don't think Wizards is prepared for an army of darkness, to descend upon them like that.
I'm lightly aware of what a piss jug is, because I may or may not have had to use one in the past. What is a poop sock?
Oh.
Is it what I'm assuming it is? The natural progression of the piss jug?
It's the natural progression of the piss jug.
Oh my God.
Poop sock. Just a sock filled with poop. It is what it is, I mean.
It's just the image of someone just opening up the top of a tube sock and squatting and while playing video games and just shitting into a sock and then just taking the sock and woo! I just throw it into the corners and shit.
It's part of how man children, while WotC and Hasbro are studying economic risk of reprinting the reserve list, we're studying the poop sock. You know, I mean, we're training with knee highs filled with poop, just like whipping them around like nunchucks. You know, we're gonna get on our hover rounds.
Tie two together, and you're going.
We're gonna get on our hover rounds and like charge them in a big brigade and front line of poop socks and pee jugs, and you know, yeah.
Gentlemen, tonight we dine in hell. Oh God,
a good boy.
We will fight them in the land and you'll watch it. Whatever that Churchill quote was. Anyways, we shall never surrender. No, but we're gonna surrender. So,
well, most of us are too lazy to even get out of our houses. So, like, you know,
you love, hence the poop song.
Yeah. I've got several at my feet.
No, I'm lucky enough to have the bathroom very close by. So, anyways,
pee jugs and poop socks aside, I think this whole like this is how pay to win starts shoe banging is kind of moot at this point because the game is literally pay to win in the first place. You need a specific card to be competitive to any degree in X format. I mean, that's just how it is. Mm-hmm. Let's see, Omnath, you need him to be competitive in standard at all. Yeah. So, I mean, you need power to be competitive in Legacy and Vintage. So,
and they're not cheap, but the difference between this and other pay-to-win is like, yes, you can buy a booster box and you can open a hell of a lot more cards than the other guy does. But every pack you open has the same chance of you getting that Omnath that, you know, the guy that bought a box and the kid that bought one, when they both open a pack, the chances are the same. This is not that. This is like, no, now you have to spend money to get cards that you can only get right here. And even, here's the thing, at the time, they'd only released like 4 of them, and they were all in varying degrees of not fantastic to Glenn, which was okay. But they hadn't even really dropped the really bad one yet, which was the Rick card, which, without going into what he does, suffice to say, is very, very strong. And we'll talk about that later. And also the Lucille card, which is Negan's Bat, which is you equip it, and the target creature gets +2/+0, and whenever it attacks you, a target opponent you're attacking sacrifices a creature. That's goddamn ridiculous. That's really powerful. But we'll get into that later.
I think we're splitting hairs with this being paid, with whether or not the game is pay to win in the first place, maybe. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on. After this initial shock, the Magic the Gathering community, in a fair, measured, calm, sane, and polite way, pondered to themselves, what is to be done about this situation? I'm not happy, but I don't know how to express myself. It was nothing like that. It was very vitriolic.
Yeah, this is the biggest shitstorm This is the biggest shitstorm I've seen, and I live inside of the United States, and we've been living with Trump in the office for about 4 years now, so.
Yeah, and this happened like right around the time of the presidential debates.
Yeah.
So it's been a shitstorm over here in the States, and we're just getting numb to it. What was to be done? A lot of people petitioned the Commander Rules Committee
to ban these cards.
Right. What is the Commander Rules Committee? It's a group of people who claim to have invented the game. The actual origins of it are a little bit murky, but what you can't argue with is that they're a group of people who took it upon themselves to regulate the Commander format and issue bans for cards that provided naught but bad feels for everybody across the board. They're not getting paid. They're doing this out of love. Now, maybe some people who are watching our show might be new to Magic in general, and if you don't know what Commander is, or as it's known to old school players like myself as EDH, it's an Eternal, which means you can use every card they've ever printed, Singleton format, which means there can be only one in each deck, and it's often played with more than one opponent. Because of the multiplayer aspect and the Eternal card pool, some cards that aren't a problem in Standard or Pioneer or Modern can be huge problems in EDH. A lot of the cards were designed to be played on a one-on-one basis, and when you start passing out multiple effects to more than just one player, 5, 6, 7 people that you're playing with, things can get out of control very, very quickly, and that's why Commander is a very high-powered format. Certain cards that Wizards, who controls Modern, bans, they don't have that kind of say over Commander because it's a fan-created format. And they have a separate rules committee that just kind of says, okay, this is way too powerful. This will do nothing but be unfair for everyone. And that's the ones that they ban. And up to this point, they've done an okay job at recognizing when something is going to be an issue and putting a bullet in it early.
Or like when Sheldon is beaten by a specific combo or a certain card one too many times and he bans it.
So people wanted a divine edict from the Commander's Rule Council. They wanted an emergency ban of the Walking Dead cards.
And keep in mind that this was all before the cards were completely spoiled. No one really knew exactly what was coming in them. I mean, we had a good idea. We knew that there was Walker tokens. We knew that we knew about four of the cards, and none of them were really spectacular, like you had mentioned. But despite this, shall we say, ferment from the Commander community, there was really nothing but radio silence coming from the CRC's ivory tower.
But that changed when the word came down from on high on October 2nd, ACE, and that word was no ban.
I think that's 2 words.
Shut up. They released a statement, the crux of which it was, we ban cards that are problematic and that will have negative effects on the fairness of the foreign ban. These cards will not do that. They're not broken. They're not going to dominate. No, we don't like them. No, we don't think WotC should do this. But what we like and what we don't like doesn't enter into this. If it did, Armageddon would be out the door for a long time. Now, this ban list is for cards that are mechanically problematic and that, due to the nature of the format, will not be fair. And these things are fair. So we're just going to kind of... I do not agree with that decision, but I can see where they're coming from. I'm not going to say it's an invalid argument. I'm going to say it's one I don't agree with. Everybody should have seen this coming because they didn't ban Nexus of Fate, and they're not going to ban this.
Nexus of Fate doesn't really see play, though. I mean, it doesn't see that much play. Even though the idea here is not the function of the card, it's more of the fashion in which one obtains the card. By that rationale, you'd see bannings of unique promo cards and box toppers, which I'm not naming individually because there's just too many of them. And we all know about the Dragon Con 1994 card. We all know about the book promos, so that's what I'm talking about. The only one that's relevant today, anyway, is Mana Crypt, and that's been reprinted in several non-standard sets, so it doesn't qualify anymore. So I also see why they wouldn't ban these for the accessibility issue. However, the fact that the Moxes, Black Lotus, and Time Walk are all banned for accessibility definitely requires some scrutiny. Though when you bring them up, you're talking about handfuls of cards that are worth literally thousands of dollars a piece, and that's not where the Walking Dead cards are right now, and probably will never be. Not only that, but going back to my earlier point about playability, Nexus of Fate, Firesong and Sunspeaker, and those other unique cards are nowhere near the playability, nor do they have the raw power level of cards like Black Lotus at all. Unlike allowing those cards into the format, the Walking Dead cards are going to warp the format around them. I mean, if we allowed like Black Lotus and the Moxes and Time Walk and all those things, you would conceivably only be able to play the format if you were a Silicon Valley tech magnate, a Saudi royal, or Rudy. I mean, it just would kill the format. Let's put it that way. Actually, I did some digging on Nexus of Fate, and first of all, I got that memory tunnel thing going on because I really felt like this came out much longer than 2019. No, it was 2019 box topper. Yeah, I if you would have asked me, I would have said like, oh, I'll bet you $10 it was like 2015, 2014, something like that. Anyways, there's a very good reason for that because it has a relation to what happened in Tarkir. Yes, Fate Reforged. It directly references that. Yeah, so that could be why, because like when I see it, you see, if I'm not mistaken, Sarkhan Vol's on there. Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, it mentions Ugin and Sarkhan, and the whole that's probably why you think that. But here's what's interesting: the main reason that they banned Nexus of Fate, you said it wasn't played that much, but there was a game that was brought. Oh no! I meant in Commander. Oh, you mean Nexus of Fate wasn't banned in Commander? It's not banned in Commander. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not banned in Commander. The Rules Committee didn't ban Nexus of Fate. because of that.
Yeah.
Yes, it got banned in standard. It was banned in
Yes,
standard.
but the main reason as to why, they said it wasn't a power thing. It had to do with MTG Arena because it made an infinite combo loop, and they were broadcasting it with that Sarhan guy, who's one of like the top players, and he got into a looped game with like some kid. They were broadcasting it. It went on for an hour. The kid's turn went for an hour. And there's nothing he could do. And the kid just kept going with this infinite combo. What they ended up having to do was, in the middle of the stream, cut off the kid's DCI number and ban him, and then immediately reinstate him. They didn't punish him or leave him unbanned or anything like that, but that was the only way they could stop the game from happening. And they didn't want that going on with Arena, where, like, you would reach a point in the game where it's like, okay, so no one's gonna win until one of you quits or falls asleep. But that's the reason why they said that Nexus of Fate got banned in Standard, because it did not work with the technology in Arena. Okay, so, back to it. A day or so after all of this happened, Mitch from the Commander's Quarters YouTube channel, which is a fine institution.
If you don't know who Mitch is or what the Commander's Quarters channel is, it's a whole series of videos dedicated to making Commander decks on a budget. This is important for contextualization because one of the many, and I would say pretty warranted, fears about the Secret Lair Walking Dead, it's going to become a must-have for Commander players and therefore eventually become very expensive.
Mitch from the Commander's Quarters YouTube channel suffered a mental break, a momentary lapse of reason. He let his guard down for a second and half-jokingly proposed a new format, and he called it Captain, which would be basically a democratically run version of Commander without the Secret Lair Walking Dead cards.
Seize the means of mana production, comrades.
It was the game's first spite-fueled format.
And to me, that was beautiful. And tragic all at the same time. It really is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. By all accounts, and it is by all accounts, because all of this information, it's all gone now. He deleted everything. Yeah, mostly secondhand. So the legend has it that this half-joking, half-serious idea got immediate legs. People took to it. Mitch even started a Discord server where people could come in and they could share their thoughts and feelings on, Captain, this new format that's, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the same thing as Commander, except as opposed to a council, it'll be kind of democratically run and no Walking Dead cards.
I see nothing that could go wrong with this.
I see a lot that can go wrong with this because the Discord was just kind of thrown up really quickly. And without the use of mods, and if you take one thing from this part of the story, is that you absolutely must have mods or people will just shitpost the most vile, racist, everything phobic, toxic horror that the human soul could possibly sound the depths of. Which is exactly what happened. I didn't see any of it, but apparently it was about as bad as it gets when it comes to just horrible, toxic, nasty shit that people were saying on this Discord channel without mods, so they're just totally unfiltered, and when you open yourself up like that, people just shit all over it.
To put this into perspective, think the 2020 U.S. presidential debate, but, like, everyone is Trump.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and there's no dog whistles of racism. It's straight up.
It's straight up just, like, blatant, like,
Yeah.
Like, but what...
N-word!
Yeah, but what...
God, no!
But what's really remarkable is the speed at which all this happened. I mean, not a lot of people saw it in action, myself included. So most people who have any concerns are just, like, kind of left standing going, what the hell just happened? Again, it's beautiful, frightening, but also beautiful in a way.
Yeah, I go to bed. I have this neat new format that I'm kind of excited about. I wake up in the morning. There's this smoking crater, like this just left, and you're like, "What the hell just happened?" And everyone, no one knows. Yeah. It's like the beginning of Akira, where you just see that like big white light, and then like now there's just this pit. And that's what makes me fucking pissed off about this, because there's no reason for it. This is why we can't have nice things, god damn it. It's that Ruth Bader Ginsburg quote where you want to fight in a way that will lead others to join you, and that's just so not what this is. Nobody wants to join a fight where, like, people are calling for, I don't know, people's families to be murdered and shit like that. Just that kind of shit. It never fixed anything. It's not gonna solve anything, and it just makes everything worse. You think I don't know what I want to say. You think you're helping, but you're not helping. But I don't think that they thought they were helping.
No.
Yeah.
There's no way that you could send a death threat to somebody and think you're helping.
Yeah. I'm helping! Right in crayon. Mitch has since completely washed his hands of this entire thing. As I think really as out of control that it apparently got is all you could really do. Just deleted the video about Captain, deleted the Discord, wants nothing to do with it, and just said, like, I want to never speak of this again.
The subreddit was locked too, and I don't even know if it's there anymore. I mean, it might have been deleted, but there was also a fan-made one that I can't find at the moment. But I mean, as a bystander, I just have to say it does suck to not have any ability to have seen this firsthand. I'm just sad I didn't get to see the fireworks.
Yeah, I know. I could care less about empirical evidence. I just wanted a rubberneck, and just be like, ooh, what kind of insults are they throwing around? Is it anything good? Nah. It's just a whole bunch of horrible words. Damn it! Just a bunch of creative.
Just a bunch of horrible words and transphobia. So it's like, fuck that
but
shit.
Nothing like really, nothing Rickles worthy. I mean, I can see if you were going in there and you were actually like, wow, he's got material. But no, it was just horrible.
Don Rickles worthy. Oh my god. All right. Well, one of the things that I think is most interesting about this Captain fiasco is that in the days leading up to the infamous deleted Captain video, Mitch had been posting videos imploring the CRC to do something and sharply rebuking WotC for their cash grab, as he and many others think it is, which, in my opinion, spade is a spade. Totally is that. It's not a novel take to have, I think, about this. Everyone is saying that, but his videos were definitely separate in tone from any of his previous ones. In my opinion, it was like watching an angry teenager get mad at his parents for getting a divorce. It was kind of gross, a little. It was a little gross. Even worse was his no bans video after the CRC decided that there was to be no bans on The Walking Dead. To me, it was just petulant cringe. Like, I don't like these cards either, and I was mad too, but like, Jesus Christ. Dial it back a little bit, step back from it. Like, I mean, Perp was saying, it's like, if you are getting that heated where you're sending death threats and you're making like 20 videos in 1 week about, like, not even news kind of type videos, but just like commentary about how we're all being shit on by WotC and, Hasbro is gonna murder your dog or something like that. It's take a step back and, like, have a margarita or something.
I mean, and like you had mentioned, like, to take a step back if this is getting you like that worked up and stuff like that. But I would almost think that if you're getting this worked up about this, then like Magic the Gathering, like, it really isn't the problem there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that is a symptom of a much larger mind that feels the need. I've heard, I can't remember who was saying this, but like, whenever people would get into big arguments about Magic cards, the shop owner would come in the back and just pick one up and rip it up and go, it's cardboard, get a grip, it's cardboard, like, it's just cardboard.
Wow, that's and something. Yeah, that's crazy.
Through your head, like it's just, calm down,
Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, so I mean, I was mad and not happy with it, and like everybody was, and I mean, I've even had some perspective changes that we'll get to, later. But yeah, take a step back, man.
Smoke this.
Yeah, like, just take it. Fucking,
it's okay.
Like, I know, like, a lot of Magic players are like afraid of drugs, but Jesus fucking Christ, take some fucking CBD oil or something. Fucking God.
Anyways, which brings us to today. What are you gonna do about it? Well, the generalized consensus is that they should probably be played like silver bordered cards. I mean, fine around the kitchen table, casual games with friends, but no, not legal in games with any weight or consequence. And that's what WotC was trying to sell.
Yeah, and let's take an objective look at these cards. Yeah, they're black bordered, but they have a triangle, like, what is that? A hologram marker on it? Holographic.
Oh, you mean on the bottom where the
Yeah,
planeswalker symbol normally
yeah,
is?
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, you could just say like, okay, well, if it has a triangle thing on there, it can only be played with silver border cards.
Boom, problem solved.
Boom, problem solved. Rule zero.
Really, yeah.
I rule zeroed this shit. But like, how far does that go? I mean, I know I have an anti-rules committee deck, complete with Moxes and the big Black Lotus. I have cards that can replace those in the event that I, come up against somebody who isn't comfortable with playing against those. I can't just rule zero my way into getting a game. It has to be like a democratic thing around the table. So that brings me to the point someone made to me the other day. So hypothetically, let's say a new player gets all excited about these cards and builds a deck around them. It's the only deck that they have, the only commander deck that they have, and they have no other cards to make a swap, right? They come up to an LGS. They come up to you at an LGS and ask to play. Everyone reveals their commanders, and this player had built their commander deck around Negan. What do you do?
Me personally, it's just like a shrug. No, honestly, what I'd probably do is just be like, "Is that fucking Negan? Let me see that shit." And I would like, Ric Flair always said, "What's causing all this first?" Like, and really want to take a look and like hold a piece of Magic the Gathering history in my hands and look at it and see if the art looks as bad as I think it does on the computer screen and see how the foiling is. Socially, there's not a lot you can do in that situation without coming off like a fucking asshole or a gatekeeper. There's not a lot, like he sits down, he's kind of pumped, he doesn't have any other cards than this. Everyone kind of goes like, and you grumble a little bit, and then he'll probably want to know why you're all grumbling. I just bought these new cards. And then he'll have to get a lecture maybe about how, but like, you don't want to do that. You just want to go like, okay, fine, let's just play. Shut up. There's no money on the table here. Let's just play Magic and just see how, let's see if Rick's a decent commander. Holy shit, he's really good.
Well, like personally, I don't really see Mardu colors when you're talking about Negan. I don't really see Mardu as a novel or hard to fill slot. A swap could be made really easily and not with a great cost. I'm not sure Negan really is much of a win con on his own. I mean, yeah, like you were saying, like Rick looks like a pretty solid commander, but I mean, like Glenn or Michonne, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, Michonne. I don't really think those really stand out as like win cons on their own. You
put Nuzumala's Shite on Glenn, that's a fucking win con right there.
Well, I don't know if it's a win con. Like drawing your card. Drawing a card is good, and yeah, Glenn definitely has a pretty desirable. Yeah, he has a pretty desirable effect. But I mean, is he commander material? I kind of look at him as like he's a little bit like Zur, but there's no put anything into the battlefield into play. You just draw a card, and also it's lacking black, so you don't have any of the black utility in there. So as far as like,
no, yeah, he is. Yeah.
As far as a commander, being like super powerful, I don't really think he's that great. When you're starting out in commander, building around a particular commander is dangerous. If you don't know what you're doing, or if it'll work like you think it does, you're gonna screw yourself. If you can't play with that commander. Some people get really upset like about certain commanders, like Rurik Tar. Some people get really, really pissy about playing against that commander.
What's he do?
Rurik Tar's the one that's like anytime like a instant or sorcery spell is cast, that it does X damage to this player or whatever. I think it's like 6 damage to a player every time.
I'd be pissy about that.
Yeah, so I mean, like if you're playing like a Nope deck or something like that, and someone Rurik Tar comes out, it's like that's it. So some people won't even play against that deck. I know a lot of people who hate like seeing Thrasios and Tymna on the battlefield. The whole table has to like agree to it. And if someone walks up and says, "Oh, well, I've got a Negan deck. Are we all cool with playing that?" And like 3 of the 4 people at the table are like, "No, we don't want to play against those cards." Sorry, you're outweighed. But I mean, just on the basis.
But isn't that kind of a dick move? Isn't that kind of gatekeeping?
How is that any more gatekeepy than not playing a silver border against a silver border deck?
Because silver border cards weren't designed to be in the decks in the first place. They were kind of designed to sit there by themselves, off to the side. I mean, like, they were kind of designed to be a totally separate set that drafted in themselves and by themselves. When you throw a black border on something, that there's something, a little bit more special about it then.
Okay, so you've got a point there, but also with the ones that were specifically made this past unset, they were made with Commander in mind. That's why
I guess so.
That's why. Well, I don't know if you were playing back then, but they were legal in Commander for like I think it was a month when it came out.
Might have been.
No, yeah, it's. I mean, look it up. That is the truth.
No, yeah, I trust you. Yeah.
Okay.
WotC is going to keep this up, and how can they do it in a way that is like least traumatizing to the game? Maybe they could time it so that the Secret Lair drop comes out at the same time that the new set drops that are going to contain the mechanically same card. That's a whole other thing, by the way. As angry as people have been about these Secret Lair drop cards, Mark Rosewater and the people at Wizards have put kind of like band-aids on cancer. One of the things they said about him is like, just because Negan is in the Secret Lair and is mechanically unique right now doesn't mean that we can't make a Magic the Gathering card that doesn't have Negan on it, that's got the exact same things going on mechanically. It'll just be a little bit later down the line if those mechanics prove to be useful and popular. So if that's what they want to do, I think the way to go about doing these would be to release the Magic the Gathering versions and the themed Secret Lair versions at the same time. And that way it's a little bit more like the Godzilla lands. It's a little bit more like the Godzilla cards, where I'm not a huge fan of, where there are different names across the top of them. But this way you're guaranteed that if you're planning on releasing them as regular old Magic the Gathering cards a little bit further on down the line, announce them both at the same time. And then we guarantee that it's going to happen. And like, yes, we're not screwing anybody. We're not doing this what pissed you guys off so much. And even if they say like, okay, so a month before the new set drops and they release the Secret Lair that's got those cards in it that are going to be in the new set, even if they can just confirm that it's only early access to the new cards, I mean, I don't love it, but it's better than like a poke in the eye, which is what you're getting anyways. So, because it's going to happen. Like, they're going to do it. And I'm just trying to think of the least damaging way possible.
And I think a lot of people have been thinking that. I mean, like,
yeah.
How is that different than the Godzilla things? And the Godzilla things didn't cause as much of a ruckus. You did hear people going on about how they hate Godzilla, or they hate these ideas. They hate the idea of the cards. And it's like, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it either, but like, it's a lot less intrusive, I feel like. I mean, how is that different from proxying? Like, like your example was Nissa who shakes the world, and how is it different from changing that to Richard who shakes his butt, Richard Simmons who shakes his butt? It's like, but it's the same card functionally. It's literally just a different skin. I don't know. Like, I think that they should have done it that way, but to me, I feel like that was the whole plan all along, was to introduce these cards, functionally unique, quote unquote, but then as kind of like a testing ground to see if they could get away with these kind of mechanics. And you hear people talking about Glenn with Skulk. White doesn't have Skulk. What are you doing? You're ruining the game. It's like, come on, why can't White have Skulk? I mean, like, yeah, we haven't seen it, but why is that not a thing that can't happen in the new Innistrad that's going to be coming up in a year?
And if I'm not mistaken, Glenn's not white. Glenn is Azorius.
Well, I mean, no, he has white in it, so he is effectively a white card.
Right, but it's not straight white.
No.
It's white and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if blue had Skulk at all. I think it did.
It might have.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, that's a black and, but that's a very Dimir ability Skulk.
Yeah, I think that's why people were like, upset about it, because it breaks the color pie, quote unquote. But it's like, but it still has blue in it.
Years.
Yeah, none of that really fucking matters. So I think that they could be just testing grounds out for, like, things that are going to come later. And I really think that, honestly, it reminds me of the concept of paying to beta test a video game. Like, how long is a game in early access, and people will pay $60 to fucking play it. It's like you're paying $60 to buy, or $50 to buy these cards to play test, like, mechanics that are unproven. It's to me, it's just a stupid thing that happens in game design nowadays. There's also this neat little bonus story that reported on something unthinkable just days ago, or I would even say hours before it was reported by Star City Games. We all understand most players who had looked at the Walking Dead Secret Lair knew that they were intended for Commander players, but I don't think anybody really talked about much than the effect of other formats, specifically the Eternal formats, Legacy and Vintage. Generally, it's harder for cards to break into Vintage and Legacy, but some uber nerd went and did it. Pro Tour monster Greg Orange went 5-0 in Legacy League with his Humans Cross the Walking Dead fanfiction deck. Many believe this wouldn't happen, but it has happened, and welcome to 2020. From the Star City Games article, quote, Greg Orange, a Pro Tour champion and member of the Rivals League, posted a tweet just past midnight showing off the finish with a screenshot of the deck in action. The image shows Rick, Steadfast Leader, and Michonne, Ruthless Survivor, on the battlefield along the usual staples of the Humans Legacy deck. Orange's opponent has 2 copies of Engineered Plague naming Human on the battlefield, but the +2/+2 from Rick allowed Orange's army to live on and even attack for the win. He went ahead and posted the deck list up on his Twitter, so if you tweet like all the other twits out there, go check it out and demoralize some other Legacy players with this deck on MTGO. Even though these cards aren't really out in the greasy midst of the Magic incel public yet, you can just proxy them because, hey, fuck WotC, am I right? I mean, they did this, never forget that. Also interesting to note, Pleasant Kenobi did a video with his Pickle Rick deck, which is a MTGO, I believe Legacy, I'm not sure, but it involved Rick, Steadfast Leader, and Brine Elemental. It looked like it performed like garbage, but you never know. Someone might come up with something for it, so.
Okay, so now that the fire has died down some, what am I personally going to do about this? What can me, Paul Casino, what can I do? Well, not buying the Secret Lair deck, that's for damn sure. Aside from that, nothing.
I'm a degenerate combo player. None of these things really seem to enable too many shenanigans, so I'm not into this. I mean, I guess it's useful in Tribal, but other than that, I'm less mad than I was about this even a week ago. I never got uncontrollably angry about it. I haven't, like, mitched out or anything, but I was not happy with the Secret Lair at all, and I don't think many people were. I'm still not a fan of the concept, and I doubt I ever will be. It's the cards, not the application, that bugs me the most, I think. These cards are they just set a precedent for more tie-ins, and I'm not opposed to tie-ins. Like we were talking about the Godzilla, tie-in. But I really just would like to keep Magic as itself rather than it being Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Let's not see that kind of crap go on here. I'm not willing to ostracize players about it either. I might say something if one pops up in a match and I wasn't expecting it, but at the very least, if a card is being used as a commander, you see it first. So it's less something, I would still say something like, hey, next time clear that with the rest of us. I'm not going to have a problem with it. But it's not as much of an issue as just, a whole bunch of Walking Dead cards are on the field now because this person never said that they had them in their deck.
Ultimately, I'm statistically never going to play against this just because with the super low numbers of them out in the wild and all, if it does happen, like I said, I'll just say whatever. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't give a fuck. It's so much. I'm so beaten. It's like, fine. But the good thing about it is that I have just a statistically better chance of being struck by lightning than ever having to be put in that situation. So it's whatever.
But it's a fair outlook. There aren't going to be that many out there, as far as I know. There was speculation at one point about the website queues being empty because the wait time is very short, but that could be in any number of things, as I believe Rudy has said on his video about that. But even with their relatively small amount of the real cards out there, you're still going to see proxies everywhere. And people are going to build decks around them. So that's going to do a couple of things. One of the positive things is it's going to normalize proxies, which is something that needs to be done, But another thing that could happen is people are going to see that on the battlefield, and they're going to be like, bad feels because they had a missed opportunity to get that special shiny card. And all I can really say is wah, it's a collector's card game. You're going to have that. Not everybody's going to have everything. So if you want it, proxy it or buy one,
The good news is that we can stop this. The power is here at our command. We can dare to believe we can survive. We can do the most simple thing. It's so easy to fix. Here's the game plan. You ready? You don't like it? Don't buy them. Don't buy them.
Yeah, just going on with your life is the best thing you can do at this point.
Unfortunately, because of all the insanity that's kind of surrounding these cards, they have become a piece of Magic the Gathering history, for better or worse. Spoiler alert, it's worse. And when you get something that makes this much of an impact before it's even released, you're going to get speculators interested. And while with the Rick card doing as well as it did at the Legacy Tournament, and with Lucille being a thing, there's no question in my mind that you are going to be able to move these cards at 2 or 3 times their value you paid for them very, very easily.
Yeah. It wasn't just Rick, though. It was Michonne, Daryl, and Negan that were in that deck, too. So it was kind of like a whole, almost the whole thing. But Rick really is what made it the winner. Perp released a video yesterday that about speculation into whether or not people are getting a bonus card with this. So just something that has happened with Secret Lairs in the past. And I guess the talk is that Lucille is the actual bonus card and not one of the stained glass planeswalkers, which is what it's historically been. He put it in a way that only he could really make work. He represented the Secret Lair itself as a loaf of bread, and the planeswalker, the stained glass planeswalker card, as being a bonus can of gravy that you get. So here you're buying the loaf of bread, expecting the bonus can of gravy, but you're not getting the gravy. You're just getting the last 3 pieces of the loaf of bread, and having it called a bonus. I think that's a way to put it, I guess. But if that's the case, that's pretty craptacular of WotC, and just add it to the pile of letdowns this year.
I was thinking about, this is the Commander game that we played at my house the other night, and my one friend who plays Magic, once a week, and he doesn't care about the community or about the repercussions of this or anything. He wants to buy one of these Secret Lair things, and, my gut reaction was hell no, don't fucking buy that. That's terrible. But, his argument is that it's easy money, and he's not wrong. How is this any different than, say, a stock tip? I mean, if I could buy a sneaker and get a return on it like that, but piss off the, Foot Locker community, fuck them sneakerheads. I'm get paid.
Fucking capitalists. Financially, I guess people are going to want them. Is Martin Shkreli going to buy a couple thousand copies to dump his liquidity into? Probably not. But somebody's going to want them, and I mean, that person isn't me. None of these shits is the next Black Lotus. So yeah, they're going to be pricey in the future, probably, but I doubt they'll ever get too crazy. Investors are going to invest, so I will say that they will probably be less volatile than any given non-reserve list card, so at least until they reprint the functionals into a real set. So remember, kids, if it ain't reserved list, it might as well be a proxy.
If you want a grim vision of the future of Magic, imagine a boot attached to Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe stomping on a Timmy's face forever.
Timmy's commander is SpongeBob. So anyway, I think we'll let the late great Jesper Myfors, the former art director for WotC, close out with his thoughts on this sort of a subject.
Back in the old days of Wizard of the Coast, we used to joke about how cravenly greedy it would be to release cards that you could only get with a high purchase price, like only available in a booster box, etc. We often said that if we did that, it was because we were out of ideas and the grasping suits had totally taken over. And then we would laugh, because we would never allow that to happen. We called them chase cards, and we knew their single purpose was to squeeze even more money out of our obsessed players. And even back then, we understood it was 100% in effect taking advantage of people with certain mental disorders, and that it was the wrong thing to do. We knew that many players would see it for what it was, which was a sign of a total loss of respect for our players and all for pathetic short-term gain. Those cards would have been aimed squarely at benefiting the shareholders, not to benefit the players. It would have been disgusting. That's why we never did it, although it was discussed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Manchild Roundtable. We are on Twitter. We are on Twitter on ManchildRT1. At us. We have a Facebook group, the Manchild Roundtable Facebook group. Like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe out there. Watch out for zombies and people who play zombie-related cards.